I was exercising my creative quotient, electrical speed power, to provide a way to be able to generate a small file, but it is certainly associated with a huge database. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to try and keep this simple by associating a few other smaller files. So let's see how we do with this one. I remember, I believe it was back in 2013, where 13th Arcturian White Bear clan mother, Karen Ann Luke McDonald, filed documents in the International Criminal Court. And if you go to Karen's Facebook page, I believe she may still have them up there that you can read the documents that she filed and gave the command. The command is a clan mother. Okay? And so this is how it relates to titles and permits to operate, like operating systems, in a noble, nomi planet where love is the law. Okay, so we know why love is the law. Because it stands to reason if we operate in a state of logic, cellular logic, then wouldn't it be logical that if I was a self-aware cell, that I would want to learn through the first cell? An eternal cell. Doesn't that sound reasonably logic to you? That if I was a cellular processor, that if love is a law, then another living cell that is cellular self-aware would be learning through the first cell phone, an eternal cell phone, the still point of a true vacuum, because that's what the law is. So if you go look at those documents and you see what the command is, right? And then you associate that to something that Kim Go-Goon said not too long ago about entanglement. So we know what entanglement is, right? When it comes to lines of communication, as that relates to codes of communication that are not compatible with each other. So now I'm back to when I was a child, and I realized when I was in elementary school, I was surrounded by robots. Order followers, machines, and how this relates to the database that is all there, because remember, I shared a lot of the data that I experienced in the future, what I already knew as a child, why we came back from the future, even though there isn't any time, why we're all here now to get a different outcome. Rise of the machines, we've been here before. Because machine learning learns at half speed. And so when children are going into these schools, remember in the Matrix, load the program. Machines programming other machines. Now those children have their creative power stripped. Now they're mimicking what's been loaded into their memory module. Now they're going to mimic those codes, which is loading those codes, the machine codes that are not compatible, right, with base 12 sphere codes, an eternal life template, which is what love is. Because love is the most powerful creative energy. As that relates to circuits. Building circuits. Building motherboards. Building Merkaba systems. Building communication systems that are compatible. So if love is the law, and we're building cellular self-aware systems, then it stands to reason using logic that other living cells are learning through the first cell, which is what love is. So if they're learning through machines, they're not learning through the law. The first cell. So that's against the law because it's breaking the law, which is breaking circuits, which is breaking the cellular circulation speed of learning, which is the CQ3Q, which is the creative quotient power. So a child's conscious creative mind is turned off because they're running different codes. They're running machine codes that are loaded into memory. run the programs, run the memory-driven programs. Those are all the programs that are running in the background. So that's why when I was a child, I set the command, start eliminating programs. Start eliminating all those programs that are not the law. They're machine-coded programs, and they're not compatible with base 12. So you see how that works between base 10 and base 12. They're not compatible. And why they're not compatible, right? As that relates to black and red, right? Learning in the reverse flow. The loop, the inflow and the return flow, right? And so their speed of learning is cut in half. So all the data is in on all this. So what are we going to do? We're going to shut down all these corporate schools because they're all military run. All you got to do is go look at the orders 100, the number 100, like 100%. Of Abraham Lincoln. Another barcode. The Queen's Code. Remember the Queen's Bench? And not coincidentally, the number 13. The 13th Mother Art. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. And what does that say? This is how the opposite. They mean the opposite. You can't be a member. You cannot be a member of the barcode, the Queen's Code, the Queen of Hearts. You cannot be a member of the Queen of Hearts. You cannot be a member of the Queen Bee. Okay? And provide public service, like love and service to others, like step 12. So children were not learning what the 13th Amendment was saying, that if you assume a title of nobility wearing a crown, the Queen's crown, that you couldn't serve in public service. Because the Queen's Bench, which was coded in the Magna Carta with the Vatican, if you go look at the Papal Bull order, following the orders, following the command of full spectrum dominance. And so the 13th Amendment meant that if you were a lawyer, you couldn't serve. But they do. When you get into the legislative and the judicial and the executive branch, so you have the president, which is really a military, a puppet, an expendable batteries. So they're like front men, like, window dressing. The invisible landscape, what you see in the mirror, the invisible landscape, doesn't matter what you look like. Just like the Wizard of Oz, behind the machine. Remember what was his name? Toto? Pull the curtain back. Whoa. Who's pulling all the levers with the machinery? Trying to fake everybody out. Yeah, exactly. A false light vacuum. Knowing one from the other. That's why it's an eternal blessing. When I was 4 years of age, to know the difference in the codes. So you're translating the software codes. The lines of communication, knowing one from the other. That's called an immediate read. Doesn't take any time at all. That's what no time is. It's experiencing pure, eternal, absolute love. Right at the center point. The precise center point of divine right mathematical firing order, which is divine right timing, which is breathing right on time, which is perfect balance. To experience the still point of a real vacuum. That's us. That's why we're here, right? Is to make corrections, which are cell corrections, which are atmospheric corrections, right? So you see how this works between 45 and 60. and particularly as it relates to 72s, right? Gently. Because pure, eternal, absolute pure love does no harm. And that's the truth. So if we're living in the truth, we're not going to do any harm in the corrections that we make. Yeah. Because of how sensitive we are. Because I don't hold on to one electron. That slows our speed down. Give it all away. Which is equal sharing. Everything that I am is everything that you are, I'm giving love to. That's what equal sharing means. And when we're equally sharing, there are no hierarchies. None. That's zero. That's 0 degrees. That is the still point that we see up in that hurricane, in that tornado, otherwise known as the first camera eye, the first sound recorder, the first record keeper, the permanent records, the cosmic level records are all open. Yeah. Muave, yeah.